Hey guys, we're gonna get these tires mounted. Alex and I have an event coming up in 2 weeks, May 23rd. Be our first time running a cart. We're gonna get some brand new MG greens on here first, so we can go fast. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna need to do this today. You're gonna need a valve core wrench to take the valve core out of the valve stem, a bead breaker like this. This bead breaker runs for about 35 bucks. We're gonna need either some tire spoons or a tire prior. These spoons are about 10 bucks a piece. And this tire prior is about 150 bucks. But this thing is fantastic. It makes putting these taking the tires on and off really easy. And we'll show you that here a little later. You're gonna need some form of lubricant. We're just gonna use some dish soap diluted in some water. And we're gonna need an air compressor. I don't have a big air compressor, so we're gonna go to my dad's place. He's got a nice shop, floor standing air compressor. And you need the air compressor to bead the tires onto the rims. And that's the hardest part, is getting the tires beaded, so you really need a large amount of air to be able to come out of that really fast into the tire, and I'll show you that. That's why we take one of the reasons why you take the valve core out is so you can get a lot of air in there at one time. It's also really cold today, and usually you want these tires to be warm. It makes getting the bead onto the rim a little easier. So hopefully that won't impede us too much. It'd be really cold. It actually got down to almost freezing last night, and it's only supposed to get up to about 50 today. I'd like for it to be like in the 70s ideally. But anyway, we've got Alex taking off the wheels. We'll get the old tires taken off, and then we'll head to my dad's and see if we get the new tires beaded on.
So the first step that we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking all the valve cores out of the valve stems of all the wheels.
So the next step, we're going to take these bead locks out. These help keep the tire on the bead under high loads. We're just going to take those out. All the air is already out, so there won't be any air shooting out now. So the next thing we got to do is use the bead breaker to get the bead off the wheel. So when you go to do the fronts, just pull this pin out, drop it down. So next thing we got to do is use the tire prior to get the bead over the rim. This particular tire prior I have has a variety of inserts for my rims. The red one seems to fit best. Here's how this sucker works. This upper part is used to take the tire off, and the back part is used to put it on. So you go in like this. In. Like that. Then after you get that part out, pull the rim out like this with some little elbow grease. There you go. rears are a little easier to get out because you got more room to grab a hold of the rim than you do the fronts. Like I say, you want to twist it, roll it. So the guy we bought this Kart off of was running it in SCUSA, or Super Karts USA. So these tires that were on the Kart are Evenco. They're actually made by MG. They're like a partnership between SCUSA and MG. They are made exclusively for Super Kart racing. These are, I think, blues. But anyway, I didn't realize they were actually made by MG. So we're going from these Evenco MGs to some MG greens. So I'm getting the bead on up over the rim is the hardest part usually. This part's not easy either, and Alex is struggling, so I'm going to see if I can get this done where he couldn't. It does take some practice to get good at this, but again, valve stem towards you. You're going to push it in, and you're going to twist it as you're pushing it in, just like when you were taking it out. We were really struggling to get these rears on. I got one of the fronts on. It went in fairly easy, but the rears are really giving us a struggle. One thing to note about these tires are they are directional. There's a little arrow on the outside of the tire here, and that has to do, it's also on the tread, but it's the way the rubber is laid down on the tire, and it will overlap in one area. So when you put them on the cart, you want them to go a certain direction. It's not really important that direction when you're mounting these. It's just important to have one going in one way and one going in the other way. So while we put this one in with the green MG label facing up, we'll do the next one with the green MG label facing down. That way when we put them on the cart, if we swap sides, the direction will flip on both of them. So now that we've got one side of the tire on, we gotta get the other side. We're gonna use the tire prior to do that. So the reason we wanted the valve stem facing us when we put it onto the tire was so when we put the other side in, the valve stem's not there, the adapter can fit in. So we'll put our adapter in. Again, we're gonna use the other side here. We won't use this side at all. Put it in like this. Stick in. Like that. Now we're going to do all four of these like that, and then we've got to go to the air compressor to pop the tire onto the bead of the rim on both sides. All right, we're here at my dad's garage where we got access to a big air compressor. We've got about 150 PSI in the compressor, and I have the regulator set at 60 PSI. So we've got our diluted dish soap here, just dish soap and water. There's not a whole lot of dish soap in here. And we'll just spray down around the bead here on both sides. And we've got the valve cores out like we took out to begin with. We're gonna put the bead locks in just a little bit, that way when it pops over this hole here, all the air won't come out. Don't put them in all the way, just put them in so they're not sticking through the other side of the wheel, just so they hold enough air to where you can get the bead to pop up. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about when we put the air in here. We'll push down on that just a little bit to let some of that get down bead of the tire. Now, I'm gonna put the air in. I've got this little gun here, and like I said, I've got the regulator set on 60. These tires have a max inflation pressure that's stated on the tire of 60 psi 4 bar. That's really the max you want to have in the tire, but I will tell you, depending on what kind of wheels you have, it may take more than that to get these to beat over. You may have to put 90 psi in it. It's kind of dangerous. They make a band you can buy. It's a steel band that goes around the tire that will keep it from exploding if you're worried about it exploding. I've already popped one of these on. It went on at 60, so I know it'll go on at 60, hopefully. And I'm fairly confident about being safe here, you know, because 60 is what it's rated for, and if it pops on at 60, we should be okay. So I'll go ahead and put the air in here. Well, I gotta put our bead locks in first. Again, we want to put these in just enough to catch a couple threads. That's to keep the air from shooting out of these holes as it pops over the bead. Here we go. Try to keep my hands away from the bead. Still not on the other side, so I'll go back. Again, the valve cord's out here, so that air will come right out. So we're going up to 60, but it's not going to stay in there very long. You'll hear that pop on. Did not pop on, so I'm going to push this back off and square it up. We'll try this side again. I'll spray just a little bit more of our soapy water mix here that we're using for a lubricant. You want it to be kind of square on the rim. I'll be on. You hear it pop, it'll scare you. There you go, it's on. You just put your bead locks back in. Now these bead locks have a little O-ring on them. Show you one of these right here. And if you find you're losing air pressure, those are cheap. You may have a torn O-ring, so just kind of keep an eye on those, make sure they're in good shape. And then we'll do the rest here, get these all popped on. That should finish us up. 7 of our 8 beads popped on with 60 psi. One of them was a bit stubborn. We had to apply a little heat, put it in front of the radiator, and then even had to go up a little higher than 60 psi. When we've got all 8 of them on, we're beat it up. We'll put the valve cords back in, and then they'll be ready for our running pressures, which is going to be somewhere between 10 to 15 psi. So I mentioned checking the seals on the bead locks if you're losing tire pressure, but Alex had reminded me that when we went to Nationals a couple of years ago, one of my runs got screwed up because I had a valve core come loose. I didn't know what was going on. I was out on course and got flat. Thought I'd had a puncture. Had Alex run all the way back to the trailer, and the paddock is huge at Nationals, so he had to run quite a ways. But I figured out while he was gone, it was just a valve core. Tightened it back up, but you only get 3 runs, and that was one of my runs. All right, we're back home. We're gonna get these wheels and tires mounted up. One of the reasons why I like running a Kart for autocross is the tires are fairly cheap. I got these for under $200 shipped from SPS Solo Performance. It's a good deal for these MGs. You know, a set of tires for a car could be like $1,000, and then you gotta have somebody mount and balance them, which is gonna cost you $100. You can mount these yourselves. At the speeds we go, you really don't have to balance them. We've got to get some numbers on the cart and just check everything over, and we should be good to go in 2 weeks. And hopefully we'll have some good video for you of the event. See you then.